Cedar Run flows into the Yellow Breeches Creek, and then the Yellow Breeches Creek flows for a few miles and empties into the Susquehanna River, and the Susquehanna River then feeds the Chesapeake Bay. Cedar Run is what we call a true limestone stream. True limestone streams emanate from large springs, so you have a lot of flow coming in at one particular point. What we have here is wild brown trout, naturally bred in this stream. There's plenty of clean gravel here for the fish to spawn in. The water's cold year-round because of the limestone springs that are feeding it. That's why you're getting the survival of these brown trout. Limestone streams aren't very diverse. They don't have a lot of species, but the abundance of the species that are there is very high because the streams are very rich and it produces a lot of fish food organisms.
At one time, Cedar Run was considered as good a fishery as, say, the Letort in Carlisle. Herbert Hoover, for example, was supposed to come here and fish because the fishing was so outstanding. And then I found out that it still has this wild, reproducing brown trout population, which isn't typical of a neighborhood stream.
Cedar Run is a very urban watershed. I would say it's about 60 to 65% impervious cover, which causes a lot of stormwater problems.
When it rains, the water tends to run off into the stream instead of percolating into the ground gradually and then getting to the stream. You get these surges of water coming through and it makes the stream flashy. So not only do you have problems with water quality because of the pollutants coming in off the ground, there's also a problem with water quantity in that the fish and the other organisms in the stream are hit with these large surges of water, and that becomes stressful to those organisms that are living in the stream.
Most of the stream is impacted by stormwater runoff, carving down banks and carrying sediment and nutrients to the stream and to the Chesapeake Bay. Most people love their local stream. Whether they fish or they just look at it, they love their local stream and they need to know that water quality can be improved in their local stream. In the case of Cedar Run, most of it is underground and a lot of people don't know it even exists and they don't connect it to a larger system. So part of our job is to connect them to their local watershed so they know that it's there and that everything they do has an effect on it.
I did not know anything about Cedar Run until Donna came in and explained that the church was located in the Cedar Run watershed. And I was surprised to find out that Cedar Run actually runs under here. And now that it's been pointed out to me where it flows, I can see it in many different places. You know, I said, oh, that's part of the Cedar Run. We walked around the building and she pointed out the opportunities that we had to filter the runoff from the roof and the driveway. We could do rain gardens, rain barrels, or some green roofing. But our first thought was we've got a big detention pond. Well, we'll just plant that in native grasses and that'll be a really good project, but it really is a pretty large area. And for our first foray into this kind of thing, we thought, well, maybe we'd better go with something smaller. And so then we said, where could we put a rain garden?
I was looking for an Eagle Scout project to do, and I've been a member of this church for a while now, and I approached the church administrator to see if there was anything that we could do around the church, and eventually one thing led to another, and this is my project. I really didn't know where to start, but the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay helped get the general layout of the garden. Then my dad and I, we went and did some tests with the ground to see how long it took for water to percolate. Members of my scout troop and also members of the church helped out. It was really a group effort. It was a great experience. The rain garden turned out beautiful. For the rain garden, the water would just run down along the lawn and into the parking lot where it would pick up fertilizers and sediments and stuff that you don't want in your groundwater, and it would actually run into a detention basin farther down. But now the rain garden traps the water and allows it to percolate naturally through the soil. I'd never heard of Cedar Run before I started with this project. It's kind of funny to think that there are streams running underneath the ground when you can't see them, and it's just something you don't usually think about. It's really changed my view on things like when it rains, you'll look around and you'll look at all the downspouts and think, okay, there's probably something we could have done about that.
It's a great opportunity to do different kind of water conservation and watershed protection projects. We draw a lot of people to different community events, so the rain garden can be used for educational purposes as well. This is what a rain garden is, and this is how it works, and you can do one of these too.
One of the best ways to show people how stormwater runoff can be improved is through doing these demonstration projects.
One of the things that attracted us to this spot was the fact that this small creek, Cedar Run, was located here, and the Yellow Breeches, and this property is right at the confluence of the two streams. So we're downstream of most of the development, and when that really sort of smacks me in the face is after a long period of heavy rain, Cedar Run changes from a fairly docile stream to sort of a raging torrent, from water that's relatively clear to brownish gray color, and it's carrying all sorts of pollutants that are washing off the land. I probably don't want to know everything it's carrying at those times. It really does cause a lot of stream bank erosion. So all that sediment's going in there and smothering good bottom habitat for trout, and ultimately some of that finer stuff's going the whole way to the Chesapeake Bay. There are things that homeowners can do to help these local streams, and it's really about keeping the water on their property as much as possible. The way we vegetate our properties, the way we plant, makes a big difference. Getting away from great expanses of lawn and planting more gardens, perennials, etc., that help hold water onto the property and slowly let it infiltrate. Also, if somebody lives next to the stream, they can plant a riparian buffer. Keeping a natural strip of vegetation, trees and shrubs beside the stream can make a big difference. What homeowners don't want to do is mowing right up to the edge of a stream, because oftentimes those lawns have chemicals on them or fertilizers, and they wash right off into the streams without any kind of buffer in between. Also, if you're mowing to the edge, you're increasing the potential for stream bank erosion because there's nothing really there to hold things in place. Homeowners can do a lot, but businesses and municipalities can do a lot too.
Here's the before and here's the after.
All those things really add up to make a difference.
We're next to the Cedar Spring Run, which is a tributary to the Cedar Run. During the design of the Municipal Services Center, we decided we wanted to make it exemplary in stormwater management, not just do the minimum requirements, but to go beyond that, and also to use it as a demonstration site so that when we're speaking with engineers and developers about stormwater management, it's not just on paper. We can walk right outside and show them some of the things that we've done. We have porous asphalt parking lots. There's a fair amount of slope across the front of the parking lot. We have several rain gardens, and the rain gardens are connected together so that much of the runoff actually goes through a train of several rain gardens before it's then piped to the infiltration trench. The water that we manage with these BMPs is all of the driveway and parking lot runoff from the front of the building, and also the roof drainage is directed to these BMPs. And actually, during very extreme storm events, we have no point discharge to the Cedar Spring Run. Some of the things that we're doing along the stream, we've had a program to remove invasive species. We have started planting some trees. We've got a project later this year that will establish a riparian buffer on both sides of the stream, and that will include establishing some fish habitat. In the past, there was a native trout population there. We're going to try to reestablish that.
Ultimately, it's about well-being, a sense of place, and recreation potential, and that has tremendous economic opportunity.
Everybody wants clean water, and most of the drinking water in Pennsylvania comes from surface water. This creek empties into the Yellow Breeches right above a drinking water intake. So everything's connected. Eventually, someone is going to be drinking the water in this creek.
I would challenge somebody to think, do you want your child playing in a waterway that has maybe even just trace amounts of petroleum products or chemicals from your yards? Or would you rather have them playing in a healthy, clean place? Would you rather be catching fish that you can trust? Or are you okay with eating fish that may have some PCBs and other things? It's really our choice collectively, and we all can greatly benefit by restoring it.